Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Shift Happens. I'm Ariana.
And I'm Elena, and today we're going to be going over the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix.
We're going to be recapping the race, sharing our race predictions, and once again answering some of my questions.
Yes. Okay, so now on to the race review. My first talking point, I think it was the same as last year, episode, Aston Martin and Alonso. I think Aston Martin is ahead of the game, and I would put them as best of the rest. And I think that they're in a really good way to be in the contenders for the championship. I will say, though, just like last race, we had a little penalty fiasco, literally in the same format. So Alonso was really off center when he went up to his grid place, and they gave him a penalty for that. You know, it was pretty quickly noted. And then when he went to go serve it, apparently one of the jackmen touched his car way too early. But the FIA did not notice this until they got a little email from Mercedes like, hey, have you seen this? So I think they made a big boo-boo, and then they fixed their mistake afterwards because they gave him a penalty. They gave him a 10-second time penalty after the race was already over. So they made that boo-boo there. I mean, like, he had already celebrated his 100th podium, and he got third place and all that stuff, and he got all the pictures, and then they were like, by the way, no, you are now P4.
And I think on like the F1 page, they had already posted the race results, so then they like posted the updated ones and then posted again that he was like reinstated, and somebody commented and was like, only Alonso could be on the podium 3 times in 2 races.
Yeah, probably. He's known for being like a drama queen, but also like not like being a drama queen. That's a bad way to put it. He likes attention, and he likes to be the villain in things. No, I'm going to say that. He likes attention. He likes being in like the spotlight. I mean, that was one of the things in the interview he said. He's like, I already got the trophy. I got the photos. I got the podium.
Yeah, I saw that. Even
though I'm in 4th, it doesn't matter. I already kind of got 3rd. But then after looking over, the FIA had broken one of the rules. If a penalty is not given out in the 30 minutes that the penalty transpired, they can't give one, and they gave it to him 35 minutes after. So then they reinstated him back to P3. So there's a lot of confusion going on, but
the whole thing was a disaster. It wasn't handled well.
No, the FIA constantly make mistakes like that, and it literally is exactly like the Ocon thing, except they didn't, I guess, give it to him late like they did Alonso.
That's unfortunate, but I mean, it doesn't really change much, except like my perception of kind of the races and how they're held and like the formalities. That's embarrassing to like put the results out and then be like, psych, never mind, and then go back again, psych, never mind. That's embarrassing. Yeah.
The FIA is kind of like meme central right now over in Twitter. That and Ferrari, but we'll get into Ferrari in a minute. So, also with Aston Martin, Stroll DNF'd, caused the safety car after a yellow flag. I think that they should have just given a virtual safety car. I don't think a full one was needed, because when Stroll had gone off on the side, he kind of was already in the escape route, so there was no need for a marshal to be on track, which is why safety cars exist. So I think they should have just given a virtual, but you know, some people benefited from that safety car. Red Bull. So I wasn't too happy about that, but I think Aston Martin did well P3, even though they only had one car. So
yeah, I mean, Alonso's kind of carrying.
He is.
Not kind of. He is carrying.
He is carrying.
But I like seeing new people. And I mean, at the beginning of like the first race and everything, I wouldn't say it was like unexpected, but people were excited to be a part of like the Aston Martin hype train.
Yeah. Because it was something different.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something new. Alonso has kind of been like, I wouldn't say screwed over, but I mean, Alonso goes where he thinks he needs to go. And I think he did a great job choosing Aston Martin, saying where they're at, and how the fact that they have a Mercedes engine and a Red Bull car, basically, you put the two together and it's a pretty good outcome.
Yeah, I was wondering that. Like, how did they go from like where they were in previous seasons to now being like neck and neck with Red Bull?
I mean,
that's a big jump.
They just got it right this season. They got it right because, there was always the talk of, is this a fluke? Is it just like a one-off that they set up their car correctly for Bahrain? But now we've seen Alonso's second in a row podium, P3. Mm-hmm. I feel like this year they actually are a really good contender for the championship. So,
yeah, I mean, it would be exciting to see somebody other than Max Verstappen win, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, we saw Perez win.
Not like that. I mean, in like the drivers' championship, right? Didn't he win the last one?
He won the last two.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'd like him to not win the third.
Well, I mean, there is that now with Perez. That's a little feisty, too. We'll also get into that in a minute, too. But on to the next team. I wanted to talk about Mercedes. They kind of like disappeared almost, just kind of into the background of this race. Normally we're talking about them, but I mean, Lewis put on hards at the beginning of the race. So, I mean, when he was fighting between Leclerc and Max, they just breezed past him like it was an F1 car versus an F2 car. He didn't really fight them against it. He didn't really put his elbows out. I mean, I guess he did. He got a black and white flag for weaving on the straight. Yeah. So that wasn't very good. But on the other hand, Russell finished, I believe he finished P4. Yeah. He finished P4. Congrats to him because he's a very consistent person. And I feel like I know Lewis is saying a lot like, I just don't really vibe with the car. And George is just kind of like, I think we should fix this. And thanks for giving me a good car. So I think he's doing well with what he's been given.
Yeah. McLaren, though. This is an embarrassing thing to watch on their behalf. But I know people are like okay with it because of the situation with Danny. That's what all the memes I see are about.
Yeah. Karma sucks. I love Daniel Ricciardo, so saying that McLaren is now like not doing the best.
Not doing the best, they have no points.
Yeah, I'm not like happy about it, but like
And didn't Norris finish like second to last?
Yes, he finished P17.
Not good.
No, not good at all. I've seen so many memes about McLaren's like, are we the new Williams? And I want to say yes, because
Williams has 1 point, right?
Yeah.
So they're further ahead than McLaren.
Yeah, Williams like 7th in the constructors, or maybe 8th. I don't know. But I think that Williams doing well, definitely for having a rookie. I mean McLaren also has a rookie, so to speak, but that rookie has been shrouded in controversy from going from Alpine to McLaren and then causing a whole lawsuit. And then like Alpine, there's so much drama.
Speaking of Williams.
What?
I'm a really big fan.
Oh. Ariana is like the biggest Logan Sargent fan.
I am. You wanna know why? Because I love America.
I hate her so much.
She doesn't, guys. She likes me. But, yeah. I was pretty sad to see how qualifying went for Logan Sargent. That was not good. To the point that he literally made an Instagram post about it. And let me see. He said that one stings. Had a very strong pace, but let it slip away. Apologies to the team. We'll try to make up for it tomorrow. If you have to make like an Instagram apology for your performance, I know you are like, oh, well, he's like a rookie and he doesn't have like the best car, so like it's kind of excusable. But if you're making an Instagram post apologizing to the team and viewers, that's kind of not good.
Oh, I mean, like, I feel like a lot of them do that. A lot of them will make a Twitter post, or a lot of them will make an Instagram post. I mean, they constantly are doing media and interviews and stuff like that. So, I mean, they kind of have to have a presence. And, like, apologizing for it, I mean, like, at least he's owning up to his mistakes. And he's not like, it's not me, it's the car. I mean, like, he's owning up to his own mistakes. And he's like, yeah, wasn't the best performance. I apologize. I'll do better. I don't see anything wrong with the apology, but apparently that got on her nerves.
I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with it. I just feel like I agree with you in saying that acknowledging that it wasn't your best is good, but I'd rather acknowledge it after I've done better. Like, yes, I messed up, but look at the new results I have to give you. Like,
I mean, he has no new results to give us. There's not a race for another 2 weekends.
I know. But maybe I wouldn't have phrased it like that.
He decided to just get it out of the way.
Yeah.
Rip off the Band-Aid. So, next team to talk about. Let me just make some sad crying noises for Ferrari. I mean, honestly, their outcome is not horrible. Sainz finished P6 and Leclerc finished P7. It's not where you would want them to be. But considering that Charles went from P12 to P7, or did I say that right? Yes, P7. He did pretty well. If you watched the race, you would have seen his radio message to his engineer. I'm not surprised anymore with anything that comes out about Ferrari and things like that. Apparently, his race engineer told him to push after he was supposed to have pushed.
Yeah.
And then Leclerc kind of went off on him over the radio, like, this is something you should have told me before. And all the race engineer had to say was, copy.
I mean, what are you going to say? Like...
No, I know, but it's just funny. Like, it's one thing after another with this team. First, it was the strategy team. And I mean, like, they did a good job this race, and I'm very proud of them. Seems like either someone was fired or they were threatened because they actually had a pretty good strategy this race. But, like, now it's on to bad communication between drivers. And you start to wonder, Charles Leclerc is, like, a Ferrari golden boy. But at the same time, you start to wonder, like, he got screwed over so many times last season that you're like, how much more can this poor man take before he decides to just, like, leave? And because, you know, if you're a driver, you want to win a world title. That's like why you're racing in Formula One. You want to be the world champion. But at the same time, to win with Ferrari is such a prestige and such a, like, a thing. Like, you won your world title with Ferrari. I mean, anybody would want that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think he wants to stay because I think if they just got their act together, they would have such a good car. I don't know what's going on over there, but I think everybody needs to take a little, like, self-look at themselves and realize, am I the problem here?
I feel like maybe some group bonding is the answer. Like, maybe the team needs to sit down and lay out vision boards of where they want to be, because this is not good.
Yeah. I also want to talk about Sainz. I think he did well. I don't think he did the best that he could, because he did fall off. He started P4 and he ended up in P6. And I thought he would... Actually, no, he didn't start in P4.
I thought he started up there.
He started up there, but he didn't start on P4. That's just where I predicted he'd be at the end of the race, and he did not. He was not there. Yeah, I was expecting him to get ahead of the Mercedes, seeing as how Mercedes have had a couple troubles, and he just didn't. And I mean, I felt like Leclerc had much better pace than Carlos, and my dad is a huge Carlos Sainz fan, and the entire race, he was like, come on, Carlos, get up there. And he just didn't. And you just saw Charles Leclerc climbing, overtaking a bunch of people to end up right behind him. I felt like Charles Leclerc had performed much better in that car than Carlos Sainz did. I just feel like they're not on equal pace level.
And we're also in like a group chat that discusses Formula One things. And it's pretty funny because every time Ferrari has like a mishap, they tag Elena into the chat and ask her how she's feeling about that. And there was a lot of that for this race.
Yeah, they're like, at Elena, how are you feeling right now about all this? And I'm like, I don't want to talk about it, okay? I don't want to talk about it. Just give me like a day to process it all and then come back and just say I wasn't really surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now on to...
Speaking about not being surprised.
Yeah. Winner, chicken dinners to Red Bull for their 1-2 once again. Just swap the drivers. Yeah. I mean, I'm not expecting anything else at this point for the rest of the season because they're so ahead. I'm hoping, like I talked about last time, their wind tunnel. I'm hoping maybe they fall off a little. I don't want any of them to like have a horrible crash and like burn. That's horrible. I would never say that. But like, you know, a little.
Some diversity to the podium.
No, I'm joking. I just wish, I mean, like, I would love to see Alonso win.
I really thought that when he took P1 in that like first corner,
he was going to hold it.
I was excited. I mean, I don't know about him holding it for like, I was realistic enough to not know that like he was going to hold it the whole race, but I thought he had a good chance of finishing like first or second.
Yeah, he finished third because, I mean, everybody at the beginning of the race was like, you know, Max Verstappen just intentionally ending himself in P15 so that way he can just make it all the way to P1 and get headlines. I mean, he's done that actually a couple times at this point that literally I said I wasn't surprised if he did that because I did predict that he would win. We both predicted that he would win. And then he got second. And I want to talk about that with Checo because there seems to be a little bit of tension between them.
I mean, at the end of the day, even though they're teammates, like you said, everybody wants to win.
Yeah, it's a very competitive sport. I think I tweeted out that they were having some trouble in paradise.
Yeah.
Up there in P1 and P2. So basically what happened was there was a radio call over on Checo's side. Well, both of them. And they told Checo to do a 33 lap. And he asked what lap Max was doing. And they were like 32.6. And he goes, so why are you telling me to do 33? Why are you telling me to do slower than him? Like kind of being suspicious of the team of like, oh, are they trying to make me go slower so that Max can win the race?
I mean, it kind of feels like a setup.
Yeah.
I would be upset.
And then also there was another call with Max on his race engineer and he asked who had the fastest lap. And then Red Bull said, we're not concerned with that. And then Max said, yeah, but I am. He was being all sassy about it.
Yeah.
And then the next thing we know, Max Verstappen got
the fastest lap.
So that also, I think, has to do with because Max won the last race and Checo got second. And then this time Checo got first and Max got second. After the race was over, they'd be tied.
Yeah.
And I don't think Max wants to give up that title for first to Checo. So I think that's why he got fastest lap because the team told him it's not a priority right now for us. We don't need, like, essentially they don't need the points because they're already ahead. Like that wasn't what they were focused on. Mm-hmm. But I don't think Max could give that up. I think Max is playing some mind games over there with Checo. And it really reminds me of Brazil, which you didn't watch Brazil last season. Did you? No.
I don't think so. Wait, maybe.
Basically, there was a little scuffle at the end of Brazil over a radio message. And everybody was like, uh-oh, it seems like Checo's not happy there. It seems like they're really, really like not. Because Checo is a really good driver and he can match Max on certain streets. Mm-hmm. On certain circuits, and I felt like he's just not been happy. Also, Checo put out a tweet saying like, congratulations, so happy for winning and blah, 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 blah. And then the last line had said something about looking forward to pushing to try to win this year.
Uh-oh.
And then apparently he deleted the tweet. And then he reposted the tweet with a new last sentence. And it said, like, so happy on winning, blah, 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 blah. Like, the same thing in the beginning. And then the ending said, like, can't wait to continue this year with the team. So I think...
maybe the team is just trying to prevent any, like, bad blood between the two of them so they don't do stupid stuff on the track.
I mean, I feel like there already is a little bit of bad blood because Max seems to be, from my personal point of view, a little bit of a brat. Like, he does
Not just yours.
He does some, like, mind game stuff, and I just think it's really funny. But I'm going to stop talking about this because I could go on for a hot second.
Alfa Romeo. I didn't expect how they placed. I actually put, how do you say his name? Bottas. I put him at 9th in my predictions. He placed 18th.
I said Bottas would be P13. I didn't think he was going to do, like, points because this is exactly what he did last year. He kind of got up there and, like, got points in the first race and then fell off. And I think exactly like that was going to happen again. I just didn't think that he would be last. So I said Bottas was my biggest flop for this race just because, like, no one expected it. I think he was legitimately 33 seconds behind Lando Norris. Not like 33 seconds behind the race leader. 33 seconds behind the next driver.
Yikes.
So, yeah.
That's tough.
I don't really know what's going on with him. I don't know what's going on with Alfa Romeo. Zhou Guanyu did well. He did get P13. So he placed where I thought Bottas would place. But...
oh, I got that one right, guys.
yeah, you did. On to another kind of bottom team. They're actually doing pretty well this year. Haas. They scored a point. It was Magnussen. Magnussen came out of nowhere and just overtook Yuki Tsunoda. And we got a lovely little radio message from Yuki, which I will not say because it is censored. But that resulted in some funny memes. And then onto another team. Last team we're going to talk about who kind of were talked about during the race was Alpine. Both drivers got points. They did really well. Gasly and Ocon. Ocon finished P8. Gasly finished P9. They both got points for the team. I think that they're doing really well as a team. I think they're doing really well as drivers. I mean, I expected them to have a little entanglement a couple times on the track, and they got a little close to each other, but I'm glad to see that they're working together for the team right now. Yeah. just to try to get points and not just to try to be like, I want to be ahead of you. So I'm glad to see that happening. Do you have any takes on that?
I mean, when we were watching it, they looked competitive on the track. Like, I could tell they were driving defensively, but I didn't put them, I put them at 11th and 12th in my rankings. You got both of them right.
Yeah.
I wasn't really expecting them to both get points.
I think that Alpine's going to do way better than a lot of people thought this year. I think a lot of people are expecting Gasly to not do well. I know I've listened to a couple podcasts, and a lot of them said that they think that this year, out of all the drivers who have been around, that Gasly was not going to do well this year because Gasly didn't do well last year in an AlphaTauri. But I think this year he's got a competitive car. He's got a competitive, not a competitive teammate because Yuki's competitive, but I think now he's got that mindset of, okay, I need to always try to beat my teammate, but also get points. And I think he's also in a good place. He's in a French team. He's French. Esteban Ocon is French. Everything's French there. So I don't know. Maybe he's enjoying the French life and is doing well.
That could be true. But as we were kind of discussing a little earlier, we're going to go on to our race predictions for this race. If you recall, in our last episode, we were talking about mine and Elena's accurate predictions and that we were going to keep score. Well, I would just like to say that I got 3 right this time, which is 2 more than last time. And I got 1, 2, 3 close. So I'm on the up and up. Don't throw in the towel yet. Be ready for me to win.
I also got 3 correct for me. I guessed Alonso would be P3. I guessed Ocon and Gasly would be P8 and then P9. And then I also got 5. I guessed 5 close enough. And our close enough is that either we were 1 up or 1 below what they did place. So I almost got Norris right. I said that he'd be P18. He was P17. I'm really capitalizing on that McLaren downfall right now. So
just because of your love for Danny.
Yeah. Poor Danny.
You're manifesting this.
I'm also really loving all the McLaren memes with Danny. Those make me smile a little bit. Just a little bit when I see them.
I think more than a little bit.
Yeah. So on to now the team standings. Red Bull, of course, is number 1 with 87 points.
Wow.
Are we really expecting anything else at this point? The answer is no.
I guess not.
Yeah, so, and then tied for 2, second place is Aston Martin and Mercedes. They both have 38 points. I think Aston Martin would be higher if Stroll didn't DNF. I 100% think that Stroll would have been in the points had he not had I think he had an engine failure. So
I agree.
Yeah.
I don't think that would have been a tie if he was still in the race.
Yeah, 4th place with Ferrari, 26 points. Not really liking where they're at. I wish they were at least 3rd place, but
we can't always get what we want.
I've realized that really early on being a Ferrari fan.
A reoccurring theme with Ferrari.
Yep. 5th is Alpine with 8 points. We have a huge jump here from 26 points in 4th place to 5th place with 8 points.
Yeah.
I mean, that just kind of shows who's best of the rest in the top teams right now. Red Bull, Aston Martin, Mercedes, and Ferrari. And then kind of, if you had to say who the best of the rest was, if you look at points for teammates and who's not a top contender, Alpine is definitely that. Then you've got 6th place with Alfa Romeo. They've got 4 points. 7th is tied with Williams for... 7th is Haas and Williams tied with 1 point.
I'm just glad to see that Williams has a point.
Yeah, it's really nice. They were kind of like the butt of the entire... I mean, them and Haas for a lot of years were the butt of Ferrari. I mean, not Ferrari, Formula One.
Yeah.
And to see that they're ahead of AlphaTauri and McLaren is surprising, but it's nice to see. So yeah, 9th, AlphaTauri, 0 points.
Hot take. I do believe that Logan Sargent is going to be on the podium at some point. Now, you can say I'm delusional, but I think it's going to happen.
I have no words. I have no words, honestly. I told her that there was a very, very low percentage of this happening. If, like, everybody DNF'd and, like, there were 3 people left on the track.
Oh, my gosh.
Maybe. But
I'm hopeful.
I don't think we're in hopeful territory. I think we're in delusional territory. But
that's a place that Elena and I reside in frequently. So I think that it's okay for me to be delusional about this.
Okay, moving on. McLaren's in 10th with 0 points. And after looking at our little score points that we're collecting, I'm winning with 6 points.
By 2 points.
That's 2 more points that I have that you don't.
Okay, well, I'm going to be on the up and up. Just wait. I'm the underdog of this of this podcast.
Yeah, because this is your first season, so.
Yep.
Yeah, so we're only counting points for what we
correctly
predict. All right, now on to the next segment, Ariana's questions.
Yeah, so like Elena said, this is my first season. I still have a bunch of questions, but the questions we're going to be addressing today, the first one is, watching the races and looking at the memes and everything, there's all this talk about ways to take corners and the different types of corners and whatever. That's very confusing to me because I usually watch straight line racing. So that's a whole not addressed, not important, not relevant aspect to the racing that I'm used to watching. So My question to Elena is, please explain.
Corners?
Yes.
Yes. So I actually had her ask me this earlier in the week because corners are a very like kind of complicated thing to explain. So there are a lot of different types of corners. I'll label out some: chicane, hairpin, banked, and kink. So those are some of like the more, I guess, like just normal ones. So a chicane is a series of corners on a circuit that include at least 2 changes in direction. Mm-hmm. They're taken at low speeds. They're meant to be there for safety and to kind of like slow you down. A kind of more famous chicane is on the Monza circuit. It's the Ascari chicane. It's really just known to kind of slow the drivers down a little bit and just kind of bring in an aspect of safety. Mm-hmm. Second is hairpin. A hairpin is kind of what you think it is. It's a tight corner after a long straight. It makes the cars turn almost 180 degrees, and they have to really slow down to take these turns. Another example is the Monaco circuit and the Grand Hotel hairpin. If you watch the Monaco circuit, you will immediately be able to pinpoint what one I'm talking about.
It looks like a bobby pin.
Yeah, that's basically what it's named after. Another type of corner is a banked corner. So basically it's a corner or turn that inclines the car, and it's normally almost always towards the inside of the corner. This corner apparently was outlawed. Not outlawed, but like kind of banned for a while, and we didn't see it until, I believe, 2 years ago at the Dutch Grand Prix. It basically, you're driving straight line, and then all of a sudden you're taking a corner, like a turn, and your car just kind of rotates about 45 degrees. So
I think that's cool. I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, it's a really fun one to watch. Next one is a kink. Basically, it's a quicker version of a chicane. It requires a fast pace of direction, and these corners are normally taken at full speed. They're not really meant for a safety or a slowdown area. And one of the ones is the Spa circuit. It's kind of after the big uphill climb. They'll take like a little kind of corner, and that's one of those. Now, she also asked me about, all the commentators were like, what is an apex? You know, the entry and the exit of a corner. Well, basically, the apex is, each corner has a different type of apex, but the apex is the most inner corner of the turn. Mm. And each corner has a different way that you can take it. So, and also to understand the apex, you need to know about the racing line and what that is. So basically, the racing line is the optimal line that a driver will take to have the fastest lap around a circuit.
Okay.
That's why you see all these drivers taking the same way.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, that's what it is. And like I said, dependent on the corner, you can take the apex faster or slower.
So are they able to like map that out beforehand? Of like what the fastest?
Yeah. I mean, that's what free practice is for, basically. Mm. But on a circuit like that you've driven so many times over, you know what the racing line is. After, okay. I mean, these drivers are the best of the best in the world. They can pretty easily
pick it out
and understand what is the best way to take a corner.
Makes sense. So my other question, another one I had was, kind of goes into that, like, is it just a strategy to take the inner or outer corner? But she kind of explained it, just that.
Yeah, it depends on the type of corner, and if you're battling to overtake someone. A lot of the times you'll hear the commenters saying, oh, he's going around on the outside, or he's taking the inside line. Mm-hmm. Basically, those also are very complicated in talking about how when you're going and taking a corner and you're racing right next to someone, there's a whole thing about who's further ahead. Whoever's further ahead gets to take that corner. And most teams will argue about this because if you're taking a corner and you're very aggressive, normally there will be contact. And then that's when teams start to get a little fussy about that. Like, he had the corner. No, he had the corner. So there's not really a strategy to it. It's just more on which way do you think you're going to be able to overtake this person.
Makes sense. I know we saw some of that in this race. I can't remember who it was, but like I was asking Elena because you saw them like completely go, like cut the corner, and I was like, that can't be allowed. But who was it? Do you remember?
It was in Williams, but they weren't cutting corners in the sense of trying to get ahead, because if they do that,
they stayed in the same place.
They will get a call and they'll be like, give back the place. You got an unfair advantage. Mm-hmm. But if you see a driver who goes off the racetrack, it's normally because they were pushed out and they saw that they could not take the racing line without causing contact or a dangerous event to happen.
Which then is pretty good because it's like some pretty offensive, I guess it would be like offensive driving, like you're anticipating everything.
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of drivers, it depends on whether you're on the offense or the defense. But, you know, it's just a lot of it. Most drivers want to finish the race.
Yeah.
So you don't want to crash out because you decided to do something stupid. Yeah,
true. So my last question isn't really a technical question. It's just kind of like an opinion that I want to hear from Elena. I wanted to ask, you know, you've been watching Formula One for 2 years, right?
Coming up on 3, I think.
Yeah. So Max Verstappen has been leading a majority of that time. So if Red Bull continues this like pace and continues to dominate the podium, is this race season still going to be entertaining for you?
I think it's still going to be entertaining for me because we have other, like I said before, we have other people who, it's not just the main 3.
Yeah.
For so long, it's been Red Bull, Mercedes, Ferrari, and then, you know, maybe McLaren will pop themselves up there every once in a while. But to see another team like Aston Martin doing so well, you know, they're second in the constructors, it's really nice to see. I also think, I mean, you could think about the time of when Mercedes was just dominating in the early, I guess in the mid 2010s. You still enjoyed the races. You still enjoyed the season because, I mean, like I have other favorite drivers rather than just Charles Leclerc. I'm a big Pierre Gasly fan. And to see that he's doing well in his team, I mean, I will still enjoy, no matter what, even if someone's just dominating the track, will I get annoyed if I keep hearing the Dutch anthem? Yes. I'm already annoyed at hearing the Dutch anthem. It was a really nice refresher to hear the Mexican anthem be played this weekend. But I am someone who just really enjoys Formula One as a sport in general.
Yeah.
So even if, of course, someone's dominating and Red Bull, you know, by halfway through, if we're like, okay, they've won. It's okay. We can all go home now. I mean, I'll still enjoy all the races and I'll still enjoy watching them and talking about them because it's just a sport that I've enjoyed and I've come to love. So will it annoy me? Yeah. But I will still enjoy the season.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But
do you have any takes on that?
I mean, to me, I'm always going to like cheer for an underdog or like an anti-hero. I feel like Alonso is the anti-hero in this situation.
I mean, he
like,
said
I'm rooting for him.
He said he's the anti-hero.
I want to see him.
They talked about that in Drive to Survive in the 5th season. He was like, this is my villain era.
Yeah, I remember that. And I'm okay with it. I support that.
I love Fernando Alonso. I think that he likes drama that involves him. So I think he will create drama.
I mean, you know, a very common phrase is all publicity is good publicity.
I think he takes that to heart.
He lives by that.
He lives by that. All publicity is good publicity. Yeah.
So I'm excited to see what the season is going to bring. I think it'll be a little annoying to see Red Bull at the top. But, you know, I mean, we're only 2 races in. Things can change. They probably won't, but they can. So
yeah, I know we'll definitely see Mercedes change over the next couple of races. They're definitely changing their car. Like they said, they're changing their philosophy or whatever.
Okay.
Whatever Mercedes is talking about now. But I know that we'll definitely probably, if they can fix themselves and fix their car and create, you know, what they're hoping to create, I know that they'll definitely be back in the title fight. And I think it definitely could be a year where it's Red Bull, Mercedes, and Aston Martin, and then maybe we have the odd Ferrari, you know, when they have their crap together. But
we'll see.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all we have for today. Honestly, not to say it was a boring race, but it was a boring race.
It could have been more exciting.
It could have been more exciting, but no, yeah. That's all we have to really say. So thank you for listening to this episode of Shift Happens. I will say tune in into, I believe, the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think
to hear us talk about cars.
April 2nd or something.
Yeah, all things F1. I believe maybe we'll have an episode or 2 come out during those 2 weeks where we just kind of talk about maybe some news or whatever that comes along.
Yep.
Because it's never quiet in the F1 world. So, all right. Thank you and have a great week. Bye.
Bye.